Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Talbot Tours and AFC Virtual Travel Show. My name is Will Reece, and I am the marketing rep for AFC Vacations. We're joined today by Serge Talbot, and he's spent over 50 years in the travel industry and is the president of Talbot Tours. Serge will be discussing his recent announcement of big life changes, along with the transition to AFC Vacations. We also have AFC President Matt Kennel with us here, and he'll be talking about the relationship between Talbot as well as what makes AFC Vacations so special. So we'll be covering many of our fall 2022 tour offerings, but rest assured there are many destinations to choose from along through the year. But to start, please join me in welcoming Serge Talbot.
Well, thank you, Will. I appreciate the opportunity to join you today. And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to what promises to be a really great travel show. This show is sponsored by AFC Vacations, but it's just for the loyal travelers and friends at Talbot Tours. And we're looking forward to sharing it with you. By now, yes, you've heard that I'm retiring. Not retiring at age 50, but retiring after 50 years in the business. So that's an exciting milestone for me. And I want you to know I loved every minute of it. Much of it is thanks to you and the wonderful relationship we've had together. Now you've long since been retired, so I'm just trying to catch up, and I'm looking forward to it. 50 years ago, we all had young families and just starting out in our careers, and that was kind of the picture 50 years ago. What a change it's been. Now, 50 years ago, what I was doing for many of you is actually running tours for your grandparents. That's right, your parents now, or your grandparents now, but your grandparents started Talbot Tours off and running some 50 years ago. So we're excited about that and excited about the legacy we have had in the travel business. The first thing I want to say is that I really want to thank all of you for your business, your loyalty, and your friendship. That has really made Talbot Tours what it has been over the years, and has made it such a joy for me. Our byline has been and still is where price is important and our service is priceless. I want to extend that to AFC Vacations because their service is truly priceless as well. The relationship I have with AFC goes back some 20 years. It was as a result of the TAP organization being formed, and AFC was one of the first partners that joined us in that endeavor. And the whole idea of TAP was to buy and sell each other's products. So many of you may not know it, but you perhaps have been on an AFC vacation through Talbot Tours over the last 15 or 20 years. So they're not new to us by any means. They are a wonderful company with a strong background, and I know you're going to enjoy working with them. They offer the quality service that you will be really pleased with. As a matter of fact, they include most all of the same sort of things Talbot Tours has over the years. For example, amenities such as home pickups to the airport is included with AFC Vacations as well. Great promotions for both individuals and for groups. So if you're an individual signing on, taking a look, you're going to delight in some of the programs that we'll be sharing with you. And if you're a group organizer, stay tuned. You're going to be excited about the various promotions and offers that they extend to group leaders. And I want you to know there's a special bonus in working with AFC Vacations because part of their relationship is with Premier World Tours, and you will love the relationship with them as well. So it's all the same family, AFC and Premier, working together to serve you. You'll enjoy the relationship. Also, there's many people, thanks to the pandemic, that haven't decided yet on their tours for this fall. They have some marvelous tours and some wonderful discounts. So when Will starts talking about those, take a close look because whether it be AFC or Premier World Discovery, you're going to find some great value and great opportunities there. And one thing that I have found, or our clients have found when they book with AFC, is they have some of the very best tour managers that are out there on tour with you day in and day out. So much so that people come back and say, "Where is Deb going next? I want to join her." Or "Where is Chris and Will going? We want to go with them on their tour." So they almost will pick the tour manager before they pick the destination. I think that speaks volumes as to the kind of service and enjoyment you're going to have while out on their tours. Now, just to clarify, I'm retiring, and that'll be effective at the end of this year. So if you already have a program booked with Talbot Tours up to the end of this year, Talbot Tours will still be managing that tour. It'll be me and Nancy, okay, along with Marcy and Lisa. So we're here, we're alive and well. We'll be taking great care of you. But if you have new tours that you're interested in as a result of seeing Will's presentation, and you want to book something for this fall or any balance of this year or well into next year, then you will be working with AFC Vacations, and I can tell you they'll be taking great care of you. Okay, so now let's get on with the show. I think Matt is president of AFC Vacations, and I think, Matt, you have a few things to say.
Well, thanks, Serge. Thanks for joining us today, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt Kennel. I'm the president of AFC Vacations, and I don't quite have 50 years of experience like Serge. I'm just under 30, just a baby in the industry, just under 30 years of tour and travel experience. So, so again, I wanted to congratulate Serge on his retirement. I started my travel career the first 10 years. I grew up in Lake Tahoe, and the first 10 years of my career, I lived in the Sacramento, Davis area and worked throughout Northern California. So Serge and I were friendly competitors, and, he's always run just such a great company, great organization, has had great staff, and decisions are made based around you, the customer, and or the group organization. So congrats to Serge and Talbot Tours for a great career, and for entering the no work zone. As I said, I used to be in travel sales for 10 years, and I would be from Eureka one week to Tahoe the next, to down to Fresno, all the way up to Chico, and then through the Bay Area, and all over the Central Valley. So I know many of you are primarily from Northern California, and the AFC, as you'll see in a moment, we're based in San Diego, but we're just a phone call away, and we can service all of your needs in Northern California as well. So I think Serge, kind of with the black arrow, though, clearly indicates the relationship of Talbot Tours and AFC Vacations. AFC Vacations does tours and cruises for individuals. We do work with a good number of group organizations in Southern California, throughout the West Coast, and a few in Northern California. And AFC is headquartered in San Diego, where they've been since 1982. But the part of the equation here that may be a little less clear is the connection with Premier World Discovery that Serge touched on. So I'm one of the owners of Premier World Tours. We own the brands AFC Vacation and Premier World Discovery. So while I'm the president of AFC, I'm one of the owners of Premier World Discovery, and still involved with Premier World Discovery as well. And so what about Premier World Discovery? Premier World Discovery is a group travel specialist. We have more of a local presence for group organizations in Northern California, as we have a business development manager, Joan Thornton, who lives in the Central Valley, and she's more available to do dock parties and presentations for your group organizations. Where at AFC, we're a little bit more limited. We do work with some groups, and we do provide that same service, but Talbot works with so many wonderful group leaders and so many organizations that AFC by itself couldn't handle all of those groups. So we're happy to serve a few organizations from Talbot, but the vast majority of the past Talbot group leaders will be better served with working with Premier World Discovery and Joan Thornton. So some of the other differences is Premier is really a group travel specialist, and that they don't really are not really set up or don't really market for individual bookings. They primarily work through group organizations, tour operators, travel agents, and group leaders like many of you. And Premier is headquartered in Los Angeles, where we've been since 1999 in the South Bay, Redondo Beach area. So to kind of summarize the triangle here, AFC and Premier are owned by the same company, Premier World Tours, LLC. We offer lots of joint travel programs, tours and cruises. So AFC has some unique product that's just for AFC, as does Premier, but the most of our product lines, we kind of share space and co-brand, co-operate, if you will, so that we can have a more dates and more departures operate. But we do have different offices. As I mentioned, Premier's in LA, AFC's in San Diego, both of which are a quick email or phone call away. And then we have the local presence with Premier with Joan. But the two brands do have different marketing, some different policies, some different discount structures, some different hometown transfer arrangements, and different staff. So while our departments work together and the base pricing is all the same, there can be some differences based on the hometown transfer arrangement with your group or the individual. Some of the discounts are a little bit different, right? The companies have different marketing philosophies in general. So there are some very subtle difference, but the base packages, the base pricing, and the tour programs or cruise charter programs are the same level of product, and we think both brands can provide the same level of service that the Talbot Tours has provided to all of you for so many years in Northern California. So most of this presentation will really be focusing on AFC, but again, a lot of these same things and a lot of the products that will be talking about with AFC Vacations are still would apply very similarly on the Premier World Discovery model, if that's a better fit for you or your organization. So the difference with AFC, we feel, compared to a lot of the industry, is just our team. We have real people, real service. We have several members of our team that have been with us over 20 years. Joe and Delta have been with AFC over 20 years. April and Dave in our air department, April's our general manager, have both been with us for over 15 years. And we have lots of other staff that's been here a number of years as well. But AFC was founded in 1982 by Randy Case. You'll see Randy in the upper right-hand corner and one of his offices in the early 90s there, I think, by the looks of the computer. And then that's last spring. That's Randy and I here down in San Diego. So Randy retired during the pandemic, and I became the president of AFC Vacations after working here for a couple years with the staff. And again, so real people, real service. And this is our 40th anniversary in 2022 for AFC Vacations. And the AFC team, again, real people, real service. We have Will, Joe, Sarah, Delta, April, that's myself, Karen, Dave, Cheryl, Claudia, and Holly. And again, we've been headquartered in the Sorrento Valley area of San Diego since 1982. The picture to the right, that is the gentleman you may have heard in the beginning, and he'll be taking over in a few minutes, Will Reece. He's the AFC marketing representative. That's one of our great tour managers that Serge referenced in the beginning, Deb Howard, and that's me. The three of us were on the same Seine River cruise last month, where we sailed from Paris out to Normandy, toward the Normandy beaches, and that's a picture of us in the colorful fishing village of Honfleur. So as we make our way through the presentation, we'll be talking about where AFC goes. And really, I think the better question may be where don't we go? AFC and Premier World Discovery both cover the world. We offer worldwide tours and cruises from Bryce Canyon to European river cruises to ocean cruises to classic motor coach tours into Italy and to train tours throughout Europe and really in several parts of the U.S. as well and Canada. So we cover the world, and we cover the world in a variety of travel styles. So we have train programs. We have classic tours where maybe you have 1 and 2 and 3 night stays in combination. We have a lot of some of our best-selling programs are Unpack Once or Unpack Twice programs, where you stay at 1 or only 2 hotels throughout. And we do mystery tours on the AFC side. Now, that is AFC's probably biggest selling product. And so we do mystery tours. We do a lot of special event programs as well, like the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, the Washington Cherry Blossom time of year, and lots of holiday programs as well. Adventure travel, Peru, Machu Picchu, and programs to Kenya out on safari. We do river cruises, both here in the U.S. We do steamboat cruises, and we do a lot of European river cruise charters. And then, as I mentioned, we also do ocean cruises, including the very popular round-trip Princess cruises from San Francisco. For you folks in Northern California, we definitely do a lot of Princess cruises out of San Francisco as requests come in. So that's kind of the gamut of our destinations where we cover. Will's going to jump into more of the specifics and some of our top selling programs in just a minute. And so, you know, as you hear a little bit more from Will and Serge has recommended AFC and Premier, just to give you a little bit more background and foundation for your comfort level, we have some guarantees and investment protection for you. And at AFC, we guarantee our prices. So this is a new selling feature for 22. Obviously, inflation is incredibly high right now, and prices are going up all the time. We had a recent river cruise on the Seine, the picture I showed you a couple moments ago, and about 3 weeks before the cruise, we got a bill for 10,000 euros for fuel surcharges. Now, a lot of companies would have passed that on to the consumer, but at AFC and Premier, we absorbed those price increases. So once you make your deposit, your price is guaranteed. We also do guaranteed departures. So once we have enough passengers to operate, we tag that departure as guaranteed, so that you have more comfort when you're booking, that you know the program is going to operate, as nobody likes to cancel a tour. We also feature a very important low-cost travel protection plan that includes cancellation protection, pre-trip coverage, and as well as travel insurance, post-departure coverage for things that may happen while you're out on tour. And along with that comes a great cancel for any reason benefit. So great travel protection. I think all of us know how important that is to the tour and travel experience to protect that investment as things do happen. And then a big one is USTOA, which is a consumer protection plan. And that's basically the 50 largest tour operators in the U.S., and it provides $1 million in travelers assistance programs. So as you book, whether you book with AFC, Premier, or other operators, you should always keep an eye out for the USTOA logo so that your investment is protected. And both AFC and Premier are members of the USTOA. Now, again, Will's going to talk about the trips, but I know many of you now are on the AFC marketing lists, postal and email. And so what should you expect from AFC? Now, we certainly don't want to bombard you. I'm on several tour email lists myself, and there's some companies that email once and twice a day. We want to keep you informed and updated, but we certainly don't want to bombard you. So we mail 6 times a year. We mail an updated brochure. We may add some dates, and we add new tours in each brochure. Like our next one coming out in July, we'll have a couple 23 programs and some 23 dates. But we mail that brochure and produce it every 6 months. So every other month we mail, and then we generally email about 2 times a week on average with offers, announcements, and other updates that may help you make some travel choices and just keep you informed about what's new out in the industry. And many of you may have received an email from us with some Talbot specials we're running. And also we sent a brochure with a letter that also included these specials. So these specials are good for a booking for through the end of 22. So if you book a new 22 tour or river cruise, and that's a deposited travel booking, and this offer expires in June, we're offering a $99 low-cost deposit. We're offering a 1-cabin category upgrade where you can save up to $200, and that's on our October 29th Wonders of the Danube. and our November 28th, my personal favorite time of the year to travel to Europe on a Christmas markets river cruise on the Danube. So those are two charters that are chartered by AFC and Premier. In addition to those one category upgrade on the river cruises, you would also lock in, you're guaranteed the highest level of savings, which is on those programs. Even though those savings are sold out, we would offer them to Talbot guests through the end of this month, and that would be an additional $200 savings. So if you were interested in a river cruise, you could save upwards of $600 per traveler. And then on all of our other programs, any of our other programs, our booking savings, early booking savings are $50 to $300. It varies by tour cost. Those will be made available at the highest level for any new bookings. And again, that offer expires the end of the month. So if you see anything you're interested in, we have some great offerings. I hope you do. Please consider giving us an opportunity and a try to serve you. So, and when you're calling into the AFC office, please use the Talbot code. Now, that kind of concludes my portion. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Will Reece, who is our tour and cruise specialist. He's the AFC marketing rep, and he's been a tour manager all over the world, all over Europe, from Florence, and is guided all the way back to his hometown in Seattle, Washington. And the reason I am introducing Will here on this slide, he's going to tell you a little bit more about AFC and our programs, but Will loves to eat. So without further ado, here is Will Reece.
Well, thank you very much, Matt. And I have the pleasure of talking about the different experiences we offer here at AFC. And trying some local fare is a big part of the travel experience. We include great restaurants with both local fare and local style. Whether that's a chuck wagon supper in the Wild West or a lobster bake in the Northeast, we offer a variety of meals and entertainment as well as part of your tour. Now, we also have chosen fantastic hotel properties throughout our programs, and these are based on many factors, including quality, cleanliness, service, location, and group functionality. Properties like the Hilton Sedona, the Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, as well as the Grand Hotel in Mackinac Island. So really wonderful places to stay along your tour. Now, one of the biggest things that people tell me as I'm traveling with them is one of the biggest separators for AFC from other companies is our home pickup airport service. And we've been providing a round-trip airport service from your home to the airport and back for over 25 years. And it keeps you from worrying about where to park, what time you need to leave, or any of the other concerns of getting to and from the airport. So as long as you're within 40 miles of the airport, we incorporate that for free. Any additional distance we can create customized for you, and we take care of it all. Now, we have an incredible team of tour managers, and I can say that having been one, knowing these people inside and out and their specialties. They work so hard to make your trip special. It truly is their goal to make your tour magical in whatever way they can. And they're extremely knowledgeable in the areas we send them and do an unbelievable job of researching the different places we travel to, just to add that little extra for you. Now, our tours are inclusive packages, and that means we include not only the home airport pickup, but also round-trip airfare. So you can fly from the airport of your choice, but also request upgrades, whether it's economy plus, business class, or first class, when you make your bookings with AFC. Now, we also have numerous ways to save, and at AFC we understand that travel can get expensive. Therefore, we found multiple options for our travelers to save money. So whether you're a single traveler or recommending a friend to travel with you, we provide that first-class service at an affordable price. Now, these upcoming tours that you can take a look on the right-hand side, happening in the next 3 to 4 months, are fantastic opportunities to get out and explore. And you can see how these trips are starting to fill up with that limited space notification there. So please don't wait, because there are spots that are filling up very, very quickly on some fantastic tour opportunities. So we have so many different destinations to offer you between now and the end of the year. So think about what's on your list and make sure you sign up. As we get into the base of the program, that's individual departures, I'll be going a little bit more in depth on the different destinations. So we'll start out with Cape Cod, and this is a fantastic 7-day program, 9 meals included, and you can see a lot of the details at the top of the screen, so you can follow with me as I talk about some of these. But this tour is packed with the history of when our country was first settled by the Pilgrims. So we arrive into Boston on Cape Cod. We then enjoy a tour, and that tour provides a great overview of the city of Boston, including Boston Common, Faneuil Hall Marketplace, and the Old North Church, which is where Paul Revere made his famous ride. As we work our way outside of Boston, we stop at the Plymouth Plantation, and there we see a reenactment of this community at the plantation itself, and they have live interpreters dressed in period costumes and represent the Englishers and the Native Americans. As the settlement grew, they spread throughout the area and established different communities, and many made their living by the sea. While those communities have grown over the years, we get to see the charm and historic properties that were built during those times, whether it's Sandwich, Brewster, Dennis. They're all great gateways to points further out on the Cape. And then we spend about 5 nights on either Yarmouth or Hyannis and make our way out on daily explorations. So we spend a morning learning about cranberries in a cranberry bog, and it's very different from those commercials we see. We then take the ferry out to the outer islands of Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket. And in Nantucket, we also include a visit to the Nantucket Whaling Museum. Now that brought a lot of wealth to the islands with the whaling industry. And speaking of wealth, we also spend a day traveling to Newport. And Newport is home of the Breakers Mansion and those series of beautiful mansions along the coastline, owned by the Vanderbilts. And that stretch of 10 miles that we drive along of oceanfront. Now, no Cape Cod visit is complete without a lobster bake. So this is a fantastic way to wrap up your experience and recall all the great parts of the journey with our farewell dinner. So we have departures September 10th and September 24th, as well as specific departures with Deb on September 17th and October 1st. But again, limited space on some of those. Now, coastal Maine is a rugged, stunning, and magical place that will really take your breath away. It's a state of contrast with 3 beautiful seasons and 1 long, cold, snowy winter. But we have lighthouses as a main focal point of this experience because it really does impact the whole community layout along coastal Maine. Our tour will give us a chance to see a number of these lighthouses, both by water and land. So we have 2 boat cruises included, one in Casco Bay and the other where a local fisherman takes us out for a hands-on experience. And we have a tour of a Victorian home also incorporated in the city of Portland. We take a ride on an electric rail car. And of course, in New England, we have a lobster bake, complete with entertainment and music. On our free day, we actually incorporate and offer an optional tour to Coastal Botanical Gardens, which is an incredible and for many an undiscovered gem. So it's been compared to Bouchard Gardens in its manicured landscapes, and absolutely stunning. Then we spend a day going inland to New Hampshire for a scenic train ride. We also make a stop at a maple sugar house, and that's where we learn how it takes about 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. So you can understand why real maple syrup is so expensive. Then we fly in and out of Boston for that trip and get to see Fenway Park, the home of the Red Sox. Now, our Brandywine, Philadelphia, and Amish Country is a program that we changed since last year. And I think we've improved it, making these changes by staying stay in Philadelphia for 5 nights. So you get to unpack your suitcase in 1 hotel and settle in. Now, we fly in and out of Philly, and that change allows us to be more familiar with Philadelphia and spend our time touring instead of packing up and moving on to different hotels. So we get the city living experience, and then we travel out to the country to see our sights. On our first full day, we start with a tour of the city of brotherly love and get our bearings. And a lot of the historical sites are within close proximity. There in the center, you see a picture of Deb Howard and Jim Carr on a recent Brandywine tour with the statue of Rocky. On this tour, we also head out to the country to Valley Forge, and that's where we see George Washington's troops, and that was the location they came together to form a true army from the militia it started as, and that's also where Washington established his headquarters. The next day on this program is dedicated to one of the country's most beautiful botanical gardens called Longwood Gardens. And we have the luxury of a half day to stroll through the conservatory, watch the fountains dance to music, and walk through as many as 1,100 acres as we can. Absolutely gorgeous. Then we take off for Nemours Mansion and tour the opulent house and gardens. Both of these places were owned by the DuPonts, and you learn some of the history of this successful family who was involved in creating smokeless gunpowder. The next day, we learn about the Amish and what it means to be part of this community. And on our tour of the Amish farmlands, we'll also stop at an Amish home that sells all sorts of beautiful quilts and handmade goods. And then a typical Amish meal with piles of chicken and mashed potatoes, macaroni, biscuits, and many more fixings completes our day. So that kind of rounds out that tour. But of course, I can't forget Hershey, the Hershey story, and the chocolate tasting. So September 25th is our one departure for this year with Deb Howard. And Pittsburgh and Falling Water was originally what we consider a mystery tour. That's kind of an exploration opportunity with folks that don't know where they're going, but they love our tour so much that they sign up anyways. And people love this trip so much that they asked us to create it as a regular program. So we obliged, and Chris McCool leads this departure, October 3rd, and this is 4 nights in one hotel in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges, and over 400 bridges complete the city. So a local guide will take us for a city tour on the following morning where we see Fort Pitt, and that fort was built for the French Indian War between 1759 and 1761. We then take the famous Duquesne Incline tram, and that takes us up to Mount Washington, and that was rated as one of the top 10 views in the U.S. by USA Today. So you get to enjoy that. Then one of the highlights of this program is seeing Falling Water. And that was a home designed by Frank Lloyd Wright for the Kaufman family as a summer home back in the 1930s. The estimated cost was $35,000 in 1935. With all the furnishings and everything else, it came out to about $155,000 at that time, which would equal $3 million today. On our tour, we'll see the Hartwood Acres Mansion, pictured in the bottom of the screen. And this is an English Tudor home, complete in 1929. Many of the components in the home were brought over from England, and a 16th century Flemish tapestry hangs on the walls, and it's a can't-miss stop on the tour. Now, New England Rails and Trails is a fantastic program, and that extends your experience to 4 states, which include Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Maine. So you can spend a good portion of your second day in the city of Boston and take in Beacon Hill and Old North Church. Then we make our way out to Conway in the beautiful White Mountains, maxing out about 6,300 feet at the tallest peak in the Northeast. The following morning, we take the Mount Washington Cogway, and that was called the second greatest show on earth by P.T. Barnum after he enjoyed the journey. Next, we take the Cogway Scenic Railroad, and that departs from an 1874 train station, and it truly is a trip back in time in these restored historic rail cars. The next day, we drive through the Kroketchie Gorge, known as Vermont's Little Grand Canyon, and it's a 165-foot deep gorge that highlights the colors changing in New England, and it's really become a highlight for folks on previous tours. So we include a visit to Portland, Maine, and stay 2 nights and incorporate a lobster farewell dinner to round out the trip. Again, there are only a handful of spaces left for this departure October 1st, so make sure you sign up. Now, these are our mystery tours, and these are some of our most popular tours that sell out very, very quickly. So these trips are a huge success. And remember, just because the mystery tour says Encore, we have 2 different styles, but there are over 60 different mystery tour destinations that we have, and it could still be new to you. This is where our staff helps out folks as they're signing up for these programs. You can tell them where you've been, where you don't want to go back to, and so forth, and they can guide you towards the right dates. Again, it's still a mystery at the end of the day, but here's how it works. When you book, you'll be advised how to pack, the weather in the destination, and some helpful hints along the way. About 3 weeks prior to the departure, you get advised what time your flight leaves on which specific airline, and then there are certain documents in your pre-tour packet. Now, if you want to enjoy that mystery experience throughout, there are notes on these documents that say do not open, and they're marked as such. So once you check in, you'll get your boarding pass and find out where your first destination is, and it's always fun to tell the folks at the counter you don't know where you're going. The tour manager meets you in baggage claim on arrival, and over the course of the trip, they'll reveal tour components or give clues along the way. So it really is a fun experience for folks that don't need to know every detail, can kind of sit back, relax, and they're also only 5 days, so it's not like you're putting down a big chunk of money. It's a great investment and a lot of fun. Now, as we work our way to the west, we're talking about some of the great national parks of the U.S., and we'll begin with Yellowstone and Mount Rushmore. So this tour flies into Rapid City, South Dakota, and that's the hub for the Black Hills. And we start our journey with a cowboy cookout dinner show. Then we also get to visit Mount Rushmore National Memorial on the land of the Lakota Sioux. And we see that in 2 different lights. So we go in the morning during the daytime and then come back at night for the illumination tour. That's where a park ranger comes out as the mountain is darkened and gives you a whole background into the mountain itself and the carvings. Then they come back and light up the mountain before your eyes. So the following day, we head west to Dead Horse and learn about the true Wild West with stories of Buffalo Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. En route to Sheridan, you'll stop at Devil's Tower National Monument and learn about the 4 theories of how the tower was formed. And then stay a night in Sheridan before crossing the Bighorn Mountains to Cody, Wyoming. Now there you'll stop at the Buffalo Bill Cody Center and learn about both Native American culture, Western art, and history. Then you'll make your way through Yellowstone National Park, coming in from the east entrance and working your way through out to West Yellowstone for 2 nights. And you get a full day tour doing a big loop around Yellowstone. That incorporates the Old Faithful Geyser that you can see in the upper right-hand corner, the beautiful Yellowstone Lake, and Yellowstone Canyon. From Yellowstone, we continue down south and through the Grand Tetons and then down to Jackson Hole for a night. We wrap up the tour on this one in Salt Lake City with a city tour and fly out the following day. So this one only has 1 departure, August 25th. Now our Black Hills and Badlands tour. This gives you a greater in-depth experience in the Black Hills. We also have a day trip out to the Badlands National Park, which is a wonderful experience to see all that beautiful geology. But with this program, I would say one of the biggest highlights is the Buffalo Jeep Safari. And that's where we go out in Jeeps into the wild landscape, right up close and personal with these beautiful animals, and get to learn all about their lifestyles and just this massive herd out in this wild expanse. Then we also see the Crazy Horse Memorial, as well as Mount Rushmore in day and night, and then work our way out and about on different excursions, whether it's to Devil's Tower or the Mammoth site. And then we also incorporate the 1880 steam train on this tour. So a couple of departures, one coming up next month in July 13th, and then also September 7th. Now our Idaho Adventure Tour is a wonderful trip and one of the gems of our program expanse. And that's because a lot of companies don't offer Idaho. But we saw all of the beautiful opportunity to explore and show folks the different scenic landscape. And we start this tour by flying into Spokane. Now, September 3rd is our only date for this year, and spots are filling up fast. We come into Coeur d'Alene, and we get to stay at the beautiful Coeur d'Alene Resort for 2 nights. Then you get to visit Wallace, Idaho, and a tour of a working silver mine. We enjoyed dinner that night at the Ryder Ranch, and they do a fantastic job with our cookout. The next day, you travel through the Clearwater Mountains and stop for lunch in Lewiston, and then visit the Lewis and Clark Discovery Center to learn about the Corps of Discovery. From there, it's on to Riggins, Idaho, and that's where we stay at the peaceful family-run Salmon Rapids Lodge for 2 nights. We then take a ride on the Salmon River jet boat and learn all about the area's wildlife. You'll also get to enjoy the scenery as we work our way south into Sun Valley, and that's where you'll stay at the legendary Sun Valley Lodge. And that was a very popular stop for the rich and famous who visited the ski areas over the years. And Bald Mountain, also called Baldy as the locals call it, was the first ski resort in America that was founded back in 1936. Now, not far away from that is the town of Ketchum, and that's where Ernest Hemingway is buried. So you'll get to see that site as well. And then enjoy a farewell dinner that night before flying out of Boise. With our Great Trains and Grand Canyons program, this is our most popular West Coast trip, and that's because we stay 5 nights in the beautiful area of Sedona, Arizona, surrounded by these fantastic red rock cliffs and different landscape there. But we'll fly in and out of Phoenix, coming into Sedona for 5 nights, and each day is another adventure. So one of the biggest highlights is heading up to the Grand Canyon. We make our way up to Williams and take the Grand Canyon Railroad, which dates back to the early 1900s. Fantastic historical experience up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And there you can see the picture in the top left corner of the canyon itself from the Bright Angel Lodge. That's where we'll stop for a few hours before making our way back to Flagstaff. From Sedona, we also take a second train, and that's the Verde Canyon Railroad. This is actually a great highlight and something that people don't expect to be their favorite part of the tour, but it tends to be. And that's because it goes through one of the most lush sections of Arizona, through the Verde Canyon. And we have first-class cars that we get to enjoy along with some snacks. And then you also have a chance to try their famous prickly pear margarita. But you can see all the different departure dates from September all the way through October. That's because this tour is so popular and a lot of these dates do sell out. Now, our Colorado Rails and National Parks tour is a fantastic way to see not only Denver, but also an expanse of the different parks in that area. So we work our way to the west out through Vail and into Grand Junction and stay 2 nights in Grand Junction, then a full day into Utah. And that's where we get to see both Arches and Canyonlands. And those 2 parks are highlights for a lot of people. Arches has over 2,000 beautiful rock formations to take in. From Grand Junction, we work our way south to the Silverton area, and that's where we board one of the 2 fantastic train journeys that we have incorporated for this tour. That trip takes you back in time to 1882 when the Silverton-Durango tracks were laid. So we take that journey, stay 2 nights in Durango, and then out to Mesa Verde as well. As we're working our way to Colorado Springs, we stop at the Great Sand Dunes National Park, and then take our second train journey on the Royal Gorge route. And there you can see a picture in the bottom right corner. We also stay 3 nights in Colorado Springs, and from there get to see the U.S. Olympic Center, as well as the Air Force Academy and the Garden of the Gods. So 1 departure left for this year, that's September 18th. Now, our New Mexico Balloon Fiesta was so popular last year and has been for a long time that we've added a second date. So September 30th and October 7th are our 2 dates for this year. Now, the Balloon Fiesta itself is the most photographed event in the entire world, and we get to see it in 2 different ways. We go early in the morning as the sun is rising and get to see the mass ascension with all the balloons flying up. And then we come back at night for the balloon glow as the sun is setting, and it's a fantastic place to be. From Albuquerque, we stay 2 nights there before heading our way up to the north to Santa Fe. En route, we stop at the Los Alamos Bradbury Center, and that's a science museum that focuses on the Manhattan Project. Then we stay 3 nights in Santa Fe, where we use that as a hub out to Taos, which is a beautiful pueblo. And then we also visit the Chimayos El Santuario, and this is the oldest Spanish settlement in the southern U.S. So we get to shop in the Taos Plaza as well as a Taos Pueblo tour. But September 30th and October 7th for these departures. Now, America's Music Cities is a fantastic way to highlight some great history along with music and different styles of music as well. So we fly into St. Louis for 1 night and get to do a city tour there with the Arch. Then we make our way down to Branson, And Branson is the live show capital of the US, so the first different style of music we see. In Branson, we see about 3 main shows incorporated there, as well as the Branson Belle Dinner Cruise. So that incorporates a dinner show as well. After 2 nights in Branson, we work our way south to Little Rock in Arkansas, so another state, and see the Clinton Presidential Library. We continue over to Memphis and first enter the state of Tennessee, and that's 2 nights there. In Memphis, we also do a dinner on Beale Street. Now, Memphis is home to the blues, and Beale Street is one of the most popular scenes for the blues and different clubs around that area, but we have dinner in one of the fantastic restaurants along Beale. Then we do a Memphis city tour, and we also incorporate a visit to Elvis Presley's Graceland. As we work our way east, we stay 2 nights in the beautiful city of Nashville, one of my favorites, and do a city tour along with a visit to the Country Music Hall of Fame. And of course, you can't go to Nashville without seeing the Grand Ole Opry. So we have 1 departure on this, with only a handful of spots remaining on October 13th. Magnolia Trail in the heart of Texas is a tour that we created last year. As Waco has expanded its population as well as activities, it's become a huge destination for people that follow the TV show Fixer Upper. But we start with flying into Dallas-Fort Worth and get to do 2 nights there with a city tour of Dallas that incorporates AT&T Stadium. That's the home of the Cowboys, or the house that Jerry built. And we do a full tour around the stadium itself, getting on-field access as well. From there, we work our way south to the historic stockyard district of Fort Worth and see the cattle drive viewing from the streets. So about twice a day, the cattle are sent straight through the streets and you're protected along the side. From Fort Worth, we continue on down to Waco and get to see all the different sites from the HGTV series. That includes Magnolia Market, as well as the Silos Baking Company, that were old silos turned into fantastic restaurants, marketplace, and so forth. Then a visit to the Dr. Pepper Museum, and we wrap up that tour with a visit to a Texas barbecue. Can't do Texas without barbecue, that's for sure. But October 15th and November 5th. Niagara Falls and the Grand Hotel is one of our most popular programs, and we only have 1 departure left. We had several coaches in the spring, but October 9th will be with Chris McCool, and that's a 6-day program with 12 meals included. We start out by flying into Detroit and stay 2 nights in Dearborn. Now, Dearborn is home to the Ford family, and that's where Henry Ford started his production. So we get to see the Ford Museum, which talks about the family history. We also get to see the River Rouge truck plant, and that's where the F-150s are being built. So we spend quite a bit of time in that area doing these 2 museums. From Dearborn, we continue on north up to Mackinac, and from there we take a ferry over to Mackinac Island. Now, the island itself is car-free, so we actually, not only do we take the ferry, but we're picked up by horse-drawn carriage and taken straight up to the beautiful Grand Hotel, which takes you back to the late 1800s. And gentlemen, this is a good time to dress up. Ladies, bring your nice dresses, because we do have 1 night with a fantastic dinner inside the hotel. So it really does take you back in time. From there, we do a city tour around Mackinac on those horse-drawn carriages as well. Then we work our way south into the little thumb pocket of Michigan to the town of Frankenmuth. And this is a Bavarian-themed town. You can see a picture in the bottom right corner. And Frankenmuth also has the largest Christmas store in the entire country. It's about the size of a Costco, so it's something you can't miss. As we continue out, we work our way over to Niagara Falls for this beautiful waterfall, where we see it in a couple of different locations, and also incorporate the Maid of the Mist cruise as part of that journey. Now, the wonders of the Danube River Cruise. We have been chartering river cruises for quite some time, and this is a fantastic way to see Europe. Not only does it stop in a lot of the great cities of Europe, but it also allows you time to unpack, unwind, and settle in. So on this program, this is a celebration of our 40th anniversary, and we have some fantastic guides as well as a fantastic lineup of destinations on this tour. So this is going to be a fun and exciting experience for everybody, as longtime tour managers Deb Howard and Chris McCool will be hosting this wonderful journey along the Danube River. And we'll arrive into Budapest and head in on the Amadeus Star for 7 nights aboard this beautiful new ship. And it was launched in 2019, so just before the pandemic, and barely used. Great layout to the ship that I'll talk more about. Once we're on board, our cruise offers gourmet meals and fantastic multi-course meals, especially for dinner. Entertainment on board on a nightly basis, and some fantastic touring opportunities on a daily basis. And we dock right in the heart of most cities, making it very easy to get on and off the ship. We offer city tours in most of these ports, and then also offer optionals, so you can blend your time of activity as well as rest and relaxation. We include free Wi-Fi on board on all of our river cruise charters, and all of our dinners include free wine, beer, or soft drinks. Now, some of the highlights on this cruise are the cities of Budapest, Bratislava, and Vienna. Now, with Budapest, it's a city unlike any other, and it's the 9th largest city in the European Union and 2nd largest on the Danube River, with nearly 2 million residents. Then we work our way over to Bratislava, and this was a hidden gem for me when I first visited. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with it like I did. But Bratislava is usually that unexpected area that turns into somebody's favorite. And the Old Town is very, very charming. We get to tour that stretch with restaurants, cafes, and shops lining both sides. Then you'll also see the home of the Philharmonic Orchestra, along with the Palace and St. Martin's Cathedral. The following day, it's on to Vienna, where we do a city tour featuring the Hofburg Palace, Vienna Opera House, and Ringstrasse. And then some of the other gems along this river, I would say Dürnstein is a fantastic stop. That's in the middle of the Wachau Valley and is famous for its wine. So it's a very quiet little village and a nice change of pace from the metropolitan of Vienna. And then Linz will be our hop-off point for a day trip into Salzburg. Then it's off to the town of Regensburg, and that mixes Bavarian-style homes and medieval city center. And from there, you have the choice to visit the Danube Gorge and Wettenberg Abbey for a beer tasting. And on board will also be a Bavarian-themed evening to wrap up the cruise. So we also offer a 2-night extension out to Prague, and Prague is an amazing city, right in the heart of the Czech Republic. Great history to it that our city tour will explain. So again, join us October 29th for the Wonders of the Danube River Cruise. So it truly is a wonderful way to see all of Europe, and we have multiple river cruises each year. So our Wonders of the Danube, and then we also have another opportunity, which is Vienna and the Christmas markets of the Danube. Now this is November 28th, so closer to the holidays, but not during the holidays. So it allows you to get out, travel, get those fantastic gifts in the Christmas markets, and then take them back home. Now this trip flies into Frankfurt and starts with 1 night as we work our way south along the river. So from Frankfurt, we drive down into Rothenburg and get to do a city tour there, a walking tour of the area, as well as the Christmas market. Now these markets are all across Europe, and they are really a fantastic way to celebrate the holidays, meet new people, as well as experience local traditions. So in each of the stands, they have different items, local as well as special, homemade in many cases, but also some great food and wine. From Rottenburg, we work our way down to Nuremberg and learn more about the Nuremberg trials of World War II. Stop in Regensburg, again, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and then on to Passau. Now, Passau is an extremely small, quaint, beautiful town that's very, very walkable. And then it's on to Linz. So again, Linz will be our hop-off point for a optional day trip out to Salzburg. And then off to Melk, where we get to see the Melk Abbey and do a Glühwein tasting. So Glühwein is available in all the markets. It's a fantastic spiced red wine and really is a specialty of Europe during this time. And end up in Vienna for a couple of nights where we do a full city tour to wrap out the tour. So November 28th for the Vienna and Christmas markets. As we work our way into some of the international programs, one of our most popular trips is the Treasures of Ireland. And this is a great way to see the entirety of the Emerald Isle. We'll start out in Dublin and head straight up into Belfast and see the northern portion of Ireland. We do the Titanic Belfast experience. That's where the ship was originally built. And then work our way up to the Giant's Causeway, which is an unbelievable landscape that you can see in the bottom left corner. From there, we continue on to the west of Ireland, and one of my favorite stretches. And we stay 2 nights in Limerick, again, home of the famous poems, down to Adare, and then up north into the Cliffs of Moher that are pictured in the upper left corner, and then the university town of Galway, a beautiful little city. From there, we also work our way south to Killarney, and that's our hop-off point for the Ring of Kerry. And that's an unbelievable stretch out on the peninsula to see a lot of famous homes as well as beautiful coastal scenery. From there, we come back into Blarney. We stop on our way to Dublin and see the Blarney woolen mills as well as the Blarney Castle and get a chance to kiss the Blarney Stone. And then 2 nights in Dublin where we do a city tour with the Book of Kells. And of course, you can't stop in Ireland without a whiskey tour. So we do a whiskey tour and tasting to wrap out that trip. But that's an October 11th departure. So make sure you sign up. Now, this is a really special program, and I'm really excited because I get to lead it. October 11th, I'm joining the folks that are traveling on this departure. And Italy is a passion for me. It's a specialty of mine as a tour manager. When I was leading trips all over the world, I would focus on Italy. I lived in Florence in 2009. It's second home to me outside of Seattle, I guess third home with Southern California now. But this is truly a unique opportunity to learn all about the specialties food-wise in Italy. So I focus all on the different components, whether it's food, wine, and then unique items like saffron that we get to taste. We'll start out by flying in and out of Florence. Now, Florence is such a walkable city. I consider it more of a town because it's so easy to get around. They shut off the car traffic within the main square and around the Duomo or the cathedral. And now it's very easy to get from one side of town to the other. Now, we do a city tour in Florence where we get to see Michelangelo's David. And then we also incorporate a visit to the Duomo and then over to the Ponte Vecchio, the famous old bridge. From there, we do a truffle hunt experience and tasting at a Tuscan estate that was owned by Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, he was a Florentine politician during the Renaissance and one of the youngest to really achieve some high levels in politics. We do a organic cooking class with a pasta master at a 9th century castle. And then we go up to a location called Volpaia. And Volpaia is a castle up in the hills of Tuscany. And Tuscany is the region. Again, Florence the city, Siena the city, and so forth. But in Volpaia, this was a home that was in shambles up until the 1960s, and most castles at that time were. And they were handed over to local families for a reasonable price. And this family has been running it ever since as a wine and food pairing. So we do Vinsanto, which is a specialty, as well as a Cantucci, which is a similar experience to a Biscotti. But the history of this castle as well, dating to about 1100, is something you can't miss. Now, I got a chance to head out to this area in December and met all the families, all the local properties and vendors that we use, and they're all excited to have us there. We've done a couple of trips already in the last 6 months or so. But one of my other favorites is the Pecorino cheese tasting. Now, Pecorino is sheep's cheese, and that's a farm that we visit in Pienza. So a really unique opportunity there to take in the farm life. And these cheeses are also packaged so you can bring them home. Then we do a trip up to Montalcino that same day. And Montalcino is known for Brunello wines, still made of the same grape Sangiovese as Chianti. But I'm really excited to tell you all about the different wines of the area, as I've studied so much about those. We go to a saffron producing farmhouse just outside of San Gimignano. And then we get to see the city of San Gimignano with its famous towers, over 16 original medieval towers. And you can see 2 of those pictures on the right-hand side, one of the towers themselves and on the bottom of the walking area around the city walls. And I took those with a regular phone camera. So unbelievable views as we travel around. But again, October 11th with me. And then we also have a November 15th departure date for this program. And getting into some of our other opportunities to travel, talking some more about our cruise experiences. We offer all sorts of different cruises with the American Queen Steamboat Company, whether that's the Columbia River or also doing the Mississippi. They have all sorts of different options available to you. We also work with some larger cruise companies like Holland America that take you all over Alaska, Hawaii, Australia, and New Zealand. And then, as Matt said, we also use Princess Cruise Lines, and they have round-trip cruises out of San Francisco that make it easy for the folks up in Northern California. But then the Panama Canal, the Caribbean, and all over Europe as well. So just to revisit some of the specials that Matt talked about, if you book a new 2022 tour or river cruise by June 30th, we have that $99 low-cost deposit available for you for Talbot Tours. We also have the one cabin category upgrade that can save you up to $400 on either the Wonders of the Danube, that's our 40th anniversary cruise on October 29th, or November 28th in the Christmas markets of Vienna and the Danube. Then we offer a $50 to $300 savings on any 2022 tour or European river cruise reservation as part of our cash booking savings. Again, when you make that booking, use the code Talbot Tours. Now, how do you make a reservation with us? You can either call our 1-800 number that's seen on the screen below. You can email at reception@afctours.com or visit our website at afcvacations.com and the menu forms. That's where you can fill out one of the forms, send it in, and we can get your booking processed. So we have fantastic reservations coordinators, whether it's Joe, Holly, Claudia, or April. Again, when you make your booking, use the code Talbot Tours. Also, I wanted to give you a heads up that on Tuesday, June 21st, we're doing our first release of 2023 tours. That'll feature Deb, water passages, spring flowers, and great food. So we haven't let out any of those secrets yet, but join me on Tuesday, June 21st, as we actually have a great offer available for you on that specific show that we're not putting out to anyone else. Again, thank you again. As we work our way to the end of the show, I wanted to thank Matt and Serge, and I believe Serge has one last farewell to give, but thank you from us. And if you do have any questions, you can email april@afctours.com. Serge, go ahead.
Well, Will, thank you so much. It was very enlightening, many of the places I've been to, but you make me want to go again. And as a matter of fact, I'm sure I will be on a number of the AFC tours. So, folks, if you see me out there as just a regular traveler, say hello to me. I'd certainly look forward to seeing you again under more relaxed circumstances. So that would be a lot of fun to run into you on some of these tours. Again, thank you, Will, and thank you to Matt and AFC for wonderful presentation. I want to thank all of you for participating, an outstanding program, and I only ask you to stay well and happy traveling. Thanks again to Matt and to Will.